Hello, hi, and how are you? I am Dr. Khalid Nas, and this is Referential. Referential is my podcast where we can have some serious conversations about frivolous things. If you're looking for a bit more of an explainer, please just scroll up to the first episode in this feed. It's short, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. In the meantime, let's just get into it. This is episode 3. Women in Public. Let's go! Okay, so let's begin with context. The Real Housewives is a reality show that began airing on Bravo TV in 2006. Like a lot of reality shows that we still have with us today, it started off as a loose riff on another TV show. In this example, Desperate Housewives. The Real Housewives franchise launched with Orange County. It promised to take us behind the gates of the affluent, the beautiful, the rich. And then there was New York, and then there was Atlanta, and then there was Jersey, and then Beverly Hills. We don't really talk about DC. By this point, I was mostly familiar with the franchise because of gifs that I saw on Twitter. Now, more context. Have you ever heard of the term digital blackface? It was a term that was first coined by Joshua Lumpkin Green and then popularized by Lauren Michelle Jackson. It's a word that has a lot of definitions. Digital media is always evolving and it evolves along with it. Basically, it refers to the phenomenon online of non-black people using a digital representation of a black person, their voice or the image, to represent themselves or to express themselves and their feelings. For example,
you think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
It's kind of why I stayed away from it, but at the same time, I think once I started straying from that road towards respectability politics is kind of also why I stumbled into it. Where is this odd morality that I'm imposing on these women who are just existing coming from? I am a relatively new Housewives watcher. I'm about 2 to 3-ish years into the journey. So I brought in a day oneer. Lauren Warren is a screenwriter. She is a former podcaster. She is a classical musician, and she's just a certifiable genius. You are going to love her. We mainly focus on the black-led franchises, so Atlanta and Potomac, but there is some sprinklings about the other franchises also throughout. We talk about existing as a black woman in public. We talk about queerness in Atlanta. We talk about colorism in Potomac. We talk about failing in public, and we talk about performativity. All this plus an ode to Drew Sidora. I hope you enjoy the episode. I will see you back in Citation Corner in the end. I just stopped at Stephanie Mills, Never Knew Love Like This, and I was just like having a little emotional moment.
I love your prep. I was listening to the Godzilla -1 soundtrack. Pretty on brand for me.
I love that. I just went on to your Instagram. I was like, oh, I noticed the other day that you posted a new mashup that you did. And I was like, oh, I did want to check it out. I was like, but I'm going to wait till like right before I'm on the thing with her. I'm always like endlessly impressed by people, especially now that I've started recording and editing audio, of people who can like make sounds that are pleasing to the ear. It is really difficult. I was like really impressed. I was like having that ability to listen to something and be like, oh, this would sound good with this.
It's a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. Not many people know this because I don't get to use it often, but I'm actually a classically trained musician. Before
reveal,
I majored in film. I actually majored in music. I wanted to be in the industry, like the business side of things. Mm-hmm. But they made you take like performance and theory and private instruction and all this stuff. And I grew up playing instruments from age 8 until I was in college. And I used to make music back in like the early 2010s. I would make original tracks and I just sort of stopped, but it never really left me. So now I hear a song and I'm like, I know that that's at least 130 beats per minute. I have something in the same key. What could I put on the alternate deck to mix it with and just put it together? And it's just something I do now. And sometimes I change the key because I like things in more of a minor key because it sounds sort of mysterious, or I'll slow it down, speed it up.
That's so good.
Old hobby that's come back to the surface because why not?
Are you having fun like dipping back into it?
Oh, yes.
What's on the decks next then? Let us know.
Let's see. Who do I have up next? Oh, this is how deep my bag goes. Back in the day, I used to love Celtic music. Absolutely obsessed with this fiddler named Ashley McIsaac, right? Who's incredibly problematic, but super
I love
talented.
that for you. I love that for you.
And there's this song called Sleepy Maggie that used to
Okay.
have me in the chokest of holds back in the day. Changed the key by like a couple of semitones. It almost sounds like the sort of Pied Piper A24-ish type sound. I'm experimenting with making that a little more ethereal and creepy and echoey and delayed, and so I'm playing with that now. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really good. Just do that more. Yes, invest in that. That sounds really exciting. And
Okay, cool.
just from like the little snippets that I've heard, I was like, when's the mixtape? You're a gamer, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Do like a bunch of like Mario remixes of like Nicki Minaj.
There's also a Beyonce D-Light mashup that I had.
Okay, we need that immediately.
Power of Love by D-Light and Move.
I will be really honest. Move is one of the songs on Renaissance that I just, like just gonna skip over that one really quickly. Thank you, Queen, so much. Love you, Grace.
Oh, that's so cute. Next.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Throw that one and energy down with the la la la's that she took off streaming.
Okay.
I like energy. It's okay.
I see. No, it's okay. Yeah, it's a great bridge.
Definitely, I thought it was fun. I like the beat. So.
Yes.
To something. Yeah.
That is the best moment when it like shifts to Break My Soul.
Yes.
For me, that's a great moment because we get away from the song.
Because the song broke your soul and you want it away from you.
It sapped my energy.
Carry on.
All right, so I gave myself a goal. I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to try my best to scam the Nerds of Prey all into coming and then getting them all slowly back to recording. We feel the gap. We miss you. I'm going to speak as like one of your fans who was a listener since day one, I can proudly say.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Your voices are really missed. I completely get the whole life just gets in the way and then like just things go. Just to affirm that, if you haven't heard that in a while, you are loved, you are missed, your voices, all of you, all four of you, and then three of you were amazing. I think you were also really instrumental in me stepping back into nerd culture and feeling like there are people who we all felt displaced, but we all actually see the same things, want to talk about the same things and develop these ideas, and having the opportunity to just like shout and just laugh along was just amazing. I mean, I just really appreciate you for casting the X-Men as Drag Race contestants for me. Thank you.
Oh man. Oh, we were having a good old time. Man.
Good times. Yeah. If people haven't checked them out, go back and listen to the backlog because it still holds up. It's all great.
You know what? Your words are so kind, and I shared them with them, and I said, I initially thought, I was like, I don't think they meant me. This must be spam. I don't think they meant to send me this.
No, genuinely, I said that like flippantly, but genuinely, like I did the first 2 episodes of this podcast and I was sent it around to my friends. Like, okay, so I did this thing working on for a little bit and I had this idea for, and give me your opinions. You know, they gave me good positive feedback. I appreciated them, but because they're people who chose to love me, I don't trust them. So I need like the genuine impressions of people who created something that I really enjoyed and cared about. If they found something and there may be something here aside from like terms of numbers I get of listeners or whatever, that's just what I want to make something that I'm really proud of. I made a list of literally 5 people and your name was on the top of it. In my head, they are people who I think made something they should be proud of, and I want to do that for myself as well. And your insight like really meant a lot to me. I was really nervous sending it, and even just sending you that message, I like agonized over it for a while. So I'm glad you felt it. I'm glad you did.
Oh, I appreciated that so much. And it was really timely because I'm sort of in this space of getting back to doing things that I love and that I enjoy too. Because you just get out of the habit sometimes, whether it's life or your confidence or what's posing as your lack of confidence, which is actually just lies.
Yeah.
Sometimes that voice is a little louder and it does sort of hinder you for a while. So I'm learning to get it out of here.
Yeah.
And just really get back to those things that I do enjoy, like the music, like writing, like podcasting again, where, you know, my coworkers are like, why don't you have a podcast? And I say, well, I used to. And they're like, so why don't you now? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have answers to those very difficult questions. I don't know.
I get it though. It's also, it requires a commitment of energy. I'm really terrified that I will just get bored of doing this in a way and like give up on it because I know that I have that potential. You know, so I completely relate to that. Like I've started a lot of projects that like I've committed to, and then like just life gets in the way, like I said earlier, and it gets really difficult to like reignite on them. But it's like if even if you never do, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you felt that and you knew that. So
Well, I appreciate that.
really you're stepping back into it. I hope you've got a lot of ideas and stuff percolating, because I've always been really excited to see what you've been doing next.
We're overflowing over here. We
Oh,
are
really?
we are making color coded schedules of when to attack these things.
Well, if you want to tease anything, you have the space, you have the room.
We are just back in the lab of writing scripts of shows that we deserve to see. I've actually been told that one script that I was working on would probably do well as a novel, and it's based on my own life experiences.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm glad I have a wonderful therapist. Glad I have a wonderful therapist. I'll say that much. It's about like this 3-year period of my life after I graduated from college and I found myself over in Kosovo. It's a journey that I'll say what makes it difficult is it started because of my mom and it ended with the untimely passing of my mom. So getting
sorry for your
myself
loss.
in that headspace is a little difficult. So it's like I can see the cast. I can see the story. I see the show. And the minute I sit down and I open final draft, my throat's like, I want to do it, but my brain's like, no, you don't. But now my brain's like, yes, you do. And it's the story that needs to be told. And even my therapist was like, yeah, if you don't write that story, I'm going to be personally upset. And I also have a friend who is a writer who is holding me very accountable.
Good.
Very
Good.
accountable. So I've started writing the opening thoughts. I just sort of put notes into a document, sort of freestyle. And my throat was like, okay, well, I'm going to close up. I'm going to let you get this out. I'm not going to upset your tummy. You know, we're going to let you tell the story. And so it's a slow process, but it's definitely a unique point of view because I don't know how many Southern Black girls wind up in the Balkans after college.
I feel like I'm such a child of the world.
I know one, and she's you.
So, you know, I think it's definitely got that unique perspective thing on lock, but I'm just writing things that make me happy and things that are, you know, even if they go nowhere, I have a portfolio that will lead to something else.
Yeah.
My payment is just being deferred for this. Am I getting paid now? But I feel like the universe will reward me for this later.
Yeah. And also like direct to consumer, your audience will pay you and you have an audience that wants things from you.
Yeah.
I think if you ever worry, there are literally people that are batting down, calling at my window. Just like you hear the whispered calls at night. It's us.
I can't sleep. It must be the people.
Yeah. No, and I was actually just talking to a friend of mine because I guess I'm in a similar space because I don't work with an institution as like an academic. I've been calling myself recently like a freelance doctor. And so I jump around between projects and then I do my own projects and I tutor. And tutoring is how I manage to like pay for my rent and all that stuff. And so that's what keeps me floating. But because like I have a rather inconsistent thing and my attention gets divided, I will be working 2 months. I'm curating this exhibition and I'm painting walls and I'm also like writing and I want to apply for this conference, but I have this thesis that I want to publish. And then I write comic books too, but then I'm doing this you know what I mean? So it's like a lot. And then you have to like be very careful about how you allow that creative energy to be unleashed.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to hear about the story. I'm really excited to read it. That sounds really fascinating, actually.
I hope that it resonates, especially if people are looking for what next?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do now? I've got this degree. Now what?
I think that is the space that a lot of people are in right now. I was thinking a lot about being post-COVID. We're a few years after that now. We're not really even post-COVID.
Yeah.
We're in that space where people feel it's been like 2 years. I should have done something. I came outside. I'm back outside. But like, what have I done?
Outside is overrated sometimes.
I went 10 steps and then I went right back home and got a cat. And I was like, I'm staying here forever. This is literally what happened over the past month.
I'm about to get a dog, so I get it.
Best decision you'll ever make. Have you had pets before?
I have. It's been a while. It's been a long time. I think it's been 15 years since I had one. But I had one constantly growing up. But I would move so much. It was like it just wasn't fair. But a good friend of mine does dog rescue. She got me on a dog. She said, I'm going to get you a dog one day. She said that for years. And one day after brunch, she sent me a picture and I was like, I'm already buying stuff. This is my dog. And my husband's like, what do you mean we're buying dog stuff? I'm like, look at this picture. Look at her.
It's happening. She's on the lease now.
Already.
Yeah, no, I got trapped with my cat in a way too, where like I've been talking about wanting to have a pet for years, and then I
Yeah.
just never really took the action steps to do it. And then a friend of mine signed me up, sent an email to a rescue shelter talking about this, just do it already. And then I was like, I'll just go and see. And this little tart of a cat just came up to me, just started rubbing herself against me, and I was like, oh, I've been claimed. You have to come home with me. Yeah, now I have a little white lady walking around my house all the time, and she's very nice. Her name is
Yeah.
Alaska. She's old and slightly racist, but that's okay.
Well, did you name her Alaska?
I
or
did
what's
not.
her
I did
name?
not name her Alaska.
So is she living up to her name?
Well, she has weird thoughts about integration.
Okay. Okay.
I was playing The Color Purple last night. I had friends that just moved down. I've been waiting to watch The Color Purple with black people only. I live in UK, so I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to a theater. I'm not doing all of that. I had my friends who just moved down. Finally, black lesbians in Brighton. Yes! We're very excited. There's like 2 of them now. Yay. Alaska was just looking at the screen with disgust.
Why are there so many of them? Why are there so many on the screen? What is this?
And then all of a sudden she like turned to one of my friends and was like,
When do you want to be my maid?
and I was like, all right, this is this is too much.
I heard doing Miss Millie. Oh no.
Have you seen it, by the way?
The new one, no. I'm kind of a purist in that I don't know if I want it to be a musical.
Are you not a musical person then?
Not really. And I grew up watching the original. So like
Yeah.
that's my foundation, that's my archetype, and it's kind of hard for me to, and I know I should be objective, but I'm like, they're gonna start singing and I don't want that.
It literally opens up with people singing.
I do plan on seeing it, but I have admittedly not rushed because I'm like, I don't want that.
I completely get it. I will say it was really tough when we got to the credits, and then it was the song in the film, but with a hip hop beat. I was like, I didn't really need this. This didn't need a horn, or this didn't need a trap beat under it. Fantasia, please stop it.
No.
It was difficult, and I blame Lin-Manuel Miranda for everything wrong in my life now. But that's beside the point. We need to bring him down. We finally destroyed Taika Waititi. Bring down Lin.
Taika getting married did that, but that's okay. We can talk about that later. Because never mind. You know what? You can tell when a certain singer came into his life because he was writing Love and Thunder around that time. And he was just playing in our faces and with her. And that's fine.
That woman?
That woman.
That hussy?
That hussy. That's such a Southern thing. I love that. That hussy.
I'm trying to bring it back. I'm not Southern, but like
I'll help you. I'll help you.
Thank you. Together, you, I, and Dionne Warwick will do this.
That hussy. And then you got to get real creative with it too. You have to like that slew-footed, cockeyed hussy or something like that. Like you got to start adding some adjectives in there to really spice it up a bit.
Slew-footed, cock-eyed hussy.
I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm a little out of practice, but it has to be something that it takes 3 to 5 business days to register as an insult, you know, but it's like, I think she is.
I've always loved that Southern way of saying something seemingly very nice, very
Nice,
tempered.
nasty. Nice, nasty.
Yeah, nice, nasty.
We perfected before kindergarten.
I want to see, you know what they should do? Oh, since we're talking about housewives, they should do like Southern housewives plus like Minnesota housewives, just like nice, nasty versus Minnesota nice.
Or
girl
can
trip.
you imagine though, the amount of insults that would go back and forth and then nobody would ever be able to get a word in edgewise? Oh my goodness.
God bless your heart. Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Can you imagine like Phaedra with a Minnesota housewife?
All right, so I have this theory. The last episode of Housewives will be when a murder is committed.
Clap if you've ever wanted to kill somebody.
Like, that's what we're all waiting on now. And I do think that Phaedra is a big contender for the culprit.
Oh, because she wants the funeral business. So, yeah.
You worked it out.
Yeah. It was Phaedra in the study with the candlestick holder, and she wants to do the body.
It was Phaedra in the dungeon with Bolo. She threw Bolo.
Bolo is the weapon, period.
Okay, so let's get into it then. Initially, like I approached you about doing an episode, I sent you a whole list of suggestions, and then you immediately went for the Housewives.
Yes.
That was the one I was hoping you would go for. But I've not found a single person that wants to talk to me about the Housewives, and I'm just like spilling over. I know, white people crazy and annoying. Make them British too, and it's just anyway. God, this podcast is gonna get taken off for like hate speech, and that's okay. That's okay. They deserve it. My community will come for me.
I got your back.
Thank you very much. I wanted to know, what is it about the Housewives that made you want to talk about it, one, but also tell me a bit about how you got into the Housewives to begin with.
I was in Canada a couple of months ago visiting family, and I wore the sweatshirt, and my brother-in-law said, please tell me you don't watch that. And I said, where else do you get in-depth sociological examinations of people without realizing that's what you're getting? It is like the best fishbowl of people who want attention but don't want to look like they want attention or have something to promote while acting like they have nothing to promote. Or I think like in the case of Garcelle, I'm just having fun. It's an extra paycheck I have to put through college, right?
Let's see if we can cancel some people.
Listen.
Hey, she got 3. Dorit, we coming for you.
Let's get them, girls.
I saw that they put out the reunion placement seating chart, and she's at the end next to Anna Marie. Baby, that's the exit.
We did it. I was hoping we would get a season of just like us looking at her financial records, because PK's a scammer.
I have notes about Dorit.
Pulling up receipts, pulling up.
Timeline. It's like high school. It's like school. It's sociology. It's anthropology with designer clothes, with exacerbated problems, and you've got people who want to be seen, and it's like it could never be me. If you like it, I love it. That kind of thing, right?
I love that for you. Thank you so much.
I love this journey for you. It could never be me. There's no possible way I would ever want cameras in my face. It's pure escapism for me. But my brain always goes to like a educational sort of deep dive kind of thing. I love to pick shit apart all the time. But no one wants to pick it apart with me because they're like, it's just the Housewives. How deep is it? No, baby, it's very deep. It actually is deep if you look deep enough.
To piggyback on what you were saying, it's one of the few places where you can just see women over the age of 40 speaking to each other for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a relatively new, I'm a latecomer. It wasn't even like during COVID. It was just that after COVID, I just made friends with people who watched Housewives. Much like you, I'm a deep diver. So I knew that this is something that had 8 years worth of material. And I was like, all right, this will be fun for me. I can go down a dark rabbit hole. And it was also during the time that I, and I'm deeply ashamed to admit this to people, I downloaded an extension on my computer that allows me to double speed any content streaming.
We were all so happy that day. It's actually hard to even imagine how terrible things would soon become.
Yeah.
So when I say I mainlined the show at double speed... You've not lived till you heard Kenya Moore yelling at Phaedra, sounding like a chipmunk. If you've not heard Portia and Kenya's fight at the reunion at double speed, you're just not my kind of person.
Especially with that year that Kenya had the scepter and was like antagonizing her.
It was very bad. I don't recommend it. And I since I started watching it, I've become more combative, which is
you just have more in your chamber.
I do.
Yeah.
I have learned to express myself in ways that I did not know possible.
Yeah.
They are learning to listen.
Who amongst us has not given out a well-earned, go on, wig, go.
I wasn't trying to take her wig. I was just trying to shift it a little bit.
Tugging it a little. Yeah, just
tug it a little. Just a little bit. Real Housewives of Atlanta is one of your first shows, right? That's one of your shows.
No. Well, it is one of my shows. I have been around since the OG show, which was OC. OC was the first one. OC was the archetype that set everything up. And I remember catching that in the background before Bravo was the current Bravo that we know now. Bravo used to air artsy stuff, Kathy Griffin, other stuff. And I remember catching it in the background, and it was something I would watch or listen to while I was cleaning or working or something.
And that was your first exposure with it, catching it on TV. Okay.
Yeah. But
also, you really got the proper experience of the first time watcher.
Behind the gates and all these, it was a bunch of rich white women. So that was a whole separate category of entertainment for me. That was.
Well, at least they were interesting. That was new for the time.
It was.
Semi-interesting rich white women.
Yeah. But it was kind of this is a bit excessive, but this is my kind of white woman carry on I can get behind. Yeah. It's kind of like Dynasty or Dallas or those old 80s shows where it was all opulence, honey. Opulence. And
more shoes.
Everything was so just dialed up.
Yes.
Atlanta came about after I moved away from Atlanta. The odd thing is the show didn't film until I moved to the DC area. And all of a sudden there was an Atlanta show. And I was like, oh, I know where all these places are. Okay. I know this place. Yikes. And who's this random white girl they let hang out with them? Who writes a $30,000 check for an Escalade off Jump?
Who wears that synthetic ass wig out in public, tries to get people to buy it. How dare she?
I have worn some questionable hair accessories, but Kim's consistent two-tone, two-textured hair made all of her talking heads incredibly difficult to watch. Even then, if you don't blend that with a hot, like a pressing, like just blend it, baby.
She
Blend
didn't
it.
know. She didn't know. And like now that we know Kim, we can see why no one told her.
I would let you walk around with clown hair for a presentation. Yeah, I would let you walk around like that.
This is what you deserve. This is who you are. So it's Atlanta, OC,
Atlanta.
and then
Yeah. Then there was a disastrous one season experiment with DC before it became Potomac. Oh, and then I got into Beverly Hills.
the prestige version.
Yeah.
What made you stay with Beverly Hills? Did you stick with it?
Yeah, I'm still with them. The season 1 finale with God bless Kim Richards, but the whole "you stole my goddamn house."
Everything was just slightly extra in Beverly
Yes,
Hills somehow.
it was real money.
It was real money. It was also like so the fascinating thing about like this is across all housewives for me is that everybody's pretending. I think like you were saying earlier, everybody's like putting on airs. Everybody is not being authentic. That is demanded from the show, right? You're presenting your life to be aspirational or whatever. Just like that tension between the fiction that they not just tell about themselves, but tell to us about themselves and like the actual reality that's just in front of us is just what always keeps me glued in. Are those the three that you've kept up with?
I'd say, yeah, Atlanta, Beverly Hills, and I think Potomac
Right.
gets my attention too. OC is just a little, I don't recognize it anymore. Orange County is a very conservative location, and I think their casting is reflecting that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, this isn't fun anymore because I think you would tell me to my face the word with the hard
Yeah.
R on the end, and I don't think I want to watch that anymore, and that's not fun.
I get that.
Like, I can give you my attention, I can give you my time, and I'll give you your ratings, but at the end of the day, I have to be a conscious consumer of what I watch and what I give my attention to, and I don't think I like it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say Atlanta, even though that's sort of falling off, Beverly Hills has really reinvented itself, I think, because that had a couple of seasons that really dragged. Potomac is getting to that point. I think the one that I go back to and I rewatch constantly more than anything is definitely Atlanta.
That was like my first entry into so the background for me. So I knew
Mm-hmm.
of the housewives mainly like through memes, queer and gay men using Nene's memes, using Sheree,
Mm-hmm.
using even like other franchises. But mainly I saw like these black faces being
Mm-hmm.
used by like these white queer people. And I think that also contributed to why I distanced myself from it. And then there was also this idea, I was also like a film student and I have the airs about like, no, this is low art, so I'm not going to watch it and give it my attention
Mm-hmm.
and developed enough of a person to actually look at it and be like, no, this is like valuable. And also, even if it wasn't, it deserves to be here. So like I went through all that. And then like more recently when I came onto it, I became really fascinated with just, I guess, the fervor of fandom. Like it's a whole ecosystem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
just watching how that developed. I agree with you when you said this is a fascinating sociological experiment. I think like if the aliens come, they just need to watch Housewives. The records that I honestly want, genuinely, like I think they're going to be some of the most valuable records in 1,000 years.
Yeah, yeah.
It's showing such a particular and nuanced slice of a section of humanity that is like really weirdly complex. And so doing all the reading that I've been doing around this topic preparing,
Mm-hmm.
I've also been trying to keep track of all the themes of how people talk about the franchise. I was just reading this essay earlier, I think The Real Housewives of the Garden of Eve.
Oh, and the Eve complex. Yeah,
Yeah.
Eve myth. Yeah.
Throughout the essay, Victoria Hearst just makes that comparison throughout about the ideas about like how these displays of femininity work in with these biblical concepts and stereotypes and how they're related to it. I think it's a fascinating way of how you could use this content to provoke some really interesting ideas there. Even though I don't know how much I agree with a lot of the things that like I collated in that citation sheet to you, because one of the things that I really took an affront against, I guess, is I just have difficulty with deciding that this should be like a barometer of respectability. Like I was just watching the first ever reunion. Kim got the first question, but the first question either to Nene or Sheree ever in a reunion. I think that was also the first ever reunion. Do you think the show is good representation for black women?
Start with you. So many emails from people who refuse to believe that you're 29.
I know it, but I have to agree. In some of the footage I saw, I mean, hello, I agree. I look, 39 with all that makeup caked on my face.
You are 29. You're standing
No, I'm
by
30 now.
You're 30 now.
I'm 30 now.
Born in
1978.
1978.
Yeah.
That makes you 30. Very good. Okay, Shayna from Chicago emailed, do you ladies think the show, based on your actions, has been good or bad for the Black community?
For the Black community?
Yep. Did you feel any weight about representing?
I did.
You did.
This is the first time that Bravo has allowed African American women to do this show. And, we should be honored. And that, we should not go on here and be a lot of drama and, just negative. And I actually reached out to Nene before we started taping, and, it was all good, and so I thought. I'm raising eyebrows with you, so I thought. Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to get into that.
I was very conscious of that.
Were you conscious of representing?
I didn't really think about it like that. I didn't. I thought that we were going to be an African-American show and it would be great. I didn't really think about representing. No, I just thought that we were going to do a show, and I didn't know it was going to be this much drama.
I was like, Jesus Christ, Andy, let them breathe. It's been like genuinely, it was like not even 2 minutes into the broadcast. I was like, my goodness, like just the weight of that on them and like on the show. And then there's like that line that Candy says a lot when she's talking about the show about how like, I feel like people talk about the show as bad representation, but then they don't want Black women to be on it who they think of as good representation, like myself. And so she identified that weird tension there. And so let's have that respectability conversation then. How do you feel about it?
Oh dear. First, let me cast a very raised eyebrow toward Andrew Cohen, the unofficial housewife of every cast.
Yes.
Who I believe they had a reunion for OC. It looks nothing like what they look like now. Those reunions have become almost like pageants.
Yeah, celebrity deathmatch.
Answers pageant questions. And no one wins Miss Congeniality except, well, if you have the first seat next to him on either side, I guess.
Yeah.
We already know. We know that there are things we can get away with.
Lauren is pointing at her hand.
Yeah, I am. Sorry. Yes, I am pointing at the back side of my hand, which is melanated.
Thank you. Go on.
I am now
Lauren's
flipping
black.
my hand. I am now flipping to the non-black side of my hand saying,
there we go.
We know that this can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
And there is less double standards, I think, imposed from that side, non-melanated, within their own community. I think Candy may have been onto something when she said, you want X, but then you don't really want X. You want the good side, but then you'll critique the good side. And then if you say the bad side, then it becomes, I think I saw that in a quote, the Bad Girls Club.
Yeah.
There's no pleasing our own community, right? So we're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But then when you look at how the casts are, there's an incident that's coming up in my head, the Pillow Talk party that Nene hosted at the hotel.
When Candy got upset.
Candy got upset. Apollo and Christopher Williams, who I still don't understand why he was there, got into it. And then it became like these little mini brawls just bubbling up all over the place. I don't remember what the commentary about this episode was when it initially aired because, we didn't have Twitter, may have had MySpace and probably Facebook. But I wondered what the conversation was then and if there's been an equivalent to that in like Beverly Hills or OC or even in New York, because I didn't really watch New York. But I just think we get it from both sides. We get it from inside our community and outside our community.
One cast that did have that conversation is Potomac. They had the same one with
they
Monique
did.
and
Candace. Yeah.
And obviously the respectability is a huge issue in Potomac. Like I feel like that's the main theme going on there. Just like on a base, I'm really impressed by the ability of just these people to just put themselves in that position, except being a public figure, because in a lot of ways the Housewives shows are about failure. Or at least I think it is, because it's about like the perception that you're putting out, but then it's also about like when that perception crumbles, right? The thing that you don't see behind, like that's just as important. That's the thing that I feel like it's something that we're waiting on. If you think about like all the big news stories, like Monica, we find out that Monica in Salt Lake City is reality Von Teese. That's like behind it. There's also that energy amongst the cast as well. The queerness in these shows. I was specifically thinking about Real Housewives of Atlanta and the way that queerness keeps coming up as an accusation, as a threat.
Yes.
But also the way that pocket gays, queerness is also being used by the show.
I love my gays. I'm dressed very gay.
Time to go to my room. All right.
Can you never not be gay for 5 seconds? I'm just like, can you not be gay for 5 minutes?
And one of the things that I was reading, it mentioned that the purpose of having people like Dwight or Lawrence in these shows is that they're showing you another version of masculinity, but like to say this is the failing one that we don't want, but like we've accepted in our life. I find like that was a bit of a simplistic framing of it, but like there is like something really interesting there.
It makes me wonder if you want to really create a realistic point of view of what Atlanta life looks like. Where are the lesbian housewives?
Yes.
Where are they? Make them a cast member then. Why are people in the LGBTQ community relegated to a secondary ring of hanger-on?
Or like we're hiding the queerness of the cast itself.
And don't weaponize it.
Yeah, I think one of the most revolutionary things that's ever happened on television is Candy Burris saying, I'm bisexual.
Yeah. She owns it. She's not ashamed of it. And anyone that tries to shame her for it, she points it right back. Yeah. And
she will not accept that.
I had a note about this too. Like, I think the reason why Marlo didn't get a peach for over a decade was because she committed the ultimate sin in season 4. Crashed the South Africa trip. Okay, so she wasn't even invited to go. And Marlo gets upset that she's not invited to a party that Sheree had set up. And Marlo used the terrible, horrible word.
Cigarettes.
Yes, she never got a peach until 10 years later. The season after that, she may not have even been around as a friend of. I think it took a season or two for her to pop back up. For her, that was the kiss of death, and even a step too far for Andy.
How do you weigh that against like Kenya Moore, who has used transphobic language? I mean, obviously, like the things that we've accepted, so still deem as acceptable, we're still convincing people that the T slur is a slur. So that's like different levels.
I think Kenya may have gotten a pass because she was
the star. When Nene wasn't there,
and the commitment to her wasn't as deep or contractually complicated as it would have been with Marlo. Yeah. So we can get rid of the side piece for now.
Not to like put any credit into rumors, but for some reason with Marlo they feel relevant because all the rumors are true. But like there is rumors about her own queerness, that being posited as an issue and as being like her unwillingness to show that aspect of her life. And so I find that also like a really fascinating layer for her. Always keeps coming up. It always keeps coming up like, oh, you're a secret lesbian, and no, you're a secret lesbian. One thing I think the show is great is that it's really exposing these tensions with queerness within the Black community. That people we should be talking about it. It's giving us a chance to talk about it. But it's also just really disappointing sometimes.
Listen, what happens in people's homes is their business. We're all grown-ups here, damn it. Like it really shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I would love to see a show, if you're going to do a reality-based show, because it's not reality TV, it's reality-based, reality-inspired, okay? Then give me the breadth of reality. Give me the swath of the city, what it looks like, an actual representation. Give me everybody. If they are engaging, I'm going to tune in. I don't care about their sexual orientation or anything, how they identify. I'm there. I'm set. If it is entertaining, engaging, I can do my laundry to it or work with it in the background. I'm there. But for some reason, we are just so terrified to go there when we're already there.
If the argument is we have to portray a realistic image of a group of women who might actually know each other and hang out, well, queer people are in that room too. Queer women are in that room too. So it feels specific in erasing them when like you made a choice to put Kim in there as the outlier white girl and made that a storyline. You do these things. But just another angle on what you were saying about Marlo, which is there would be a really interesting dimension to what you were saying, thinking about the idea of class and queerness as it operates in relation to that, because Andy himself as a gay man taking affront and using his influence to like bar someone for using a gay slur adds like a different hierarchy where like that pushes you out of the room. Current state of society, and we've developed into where like there is something now that is unacceptable. I mean there's like there's interesting dimensions, and like the way that the idea of class works specifically in Atlanta is really fascinating. I mean, we have that first season with fucking Kim talking about like class and elegance gets you everywhere. Sorry, you know what? Actually, let's just take a brief 5 minutes to drag that bit. She's racist.
I didn't realize she was a comedian. I didn't know they hired a comedian to be on the show, because let me tell you, everything she said was damn comedic.
She's not a singer, so she must have another talent, right?
Well, Lauren, don't do that. It's Sunday. Don't do that. It's Sunday.
And the Lord wants you to be honest. Speak on.
Come up
to the pulpit.
Kim can survive. That's a talent. That's what I'll say. Kim
Point.
is a survivor.
She's a single mom who loves her kids and never stops.
It never stops having them. She knows how to take a dollar and stretch it.
Well, apparently not that good because she's going through things now, isn't she?
And it's funny because everybody tried to tell him, don't trust a big butt and a smile. Somebody covered this already. No, that's a 613 with big lips, baby. Don't do it. Don't do it.
She's a lie just like a wig.
So I get why they did it, right? I lived in Atlanta. I had a good girlfriend who was white.
Watching the first season, she has so much power. It wanes as it goes on. Yeah, and it's specifically because of that. And it took them, I was watching the women maneuver around her because they really wanted to address it. And you could tell they really wanted to address it, but they couldn't.
And they know why they couldn't, because if they did it, they would be the angry black women who attacked the white woman. And the fact that they had to very carefully choose their words, be on camera, be aware that they're on camera, choose their words accordingly, but get the point across and not elicit a reaction. Just the amount of calculus I had to go in having a conversation with her was exhausting. I was exhausted for them. And I think one of my favorite, this is bad to say favorite, but one of the moments I go back to that I sort of harped on when you asked me to do this was season 2 or 3 when she was on tour with Candy, and I'm using air quotes for tour. Okay. The way she spoke to Sweetie and the way Nene had an issue with it. And she was like, you're speaking to her like that's your slave. The way Sweetie just sort of, well, if I had a problem with it, I would say so. All of a
sudden, she just blows it. And there's no calming her down, and she just won't shut up.
You think you can talk to people like they're a slave? Your slave is behind you.
Call my assistant a slave.
You call her a slave. You call her everything.
I've never called her a
you
slave in my entire life. You bitch! You bitch! Are you kidding me?
I'm not nobody's slave.
I don't care. Here's my slave. Slave!
The way that Kim is treating Sweetie is very unacceptable to me. I don't like it. Not only are you disrespecting Sweetie, you are disrespecting me. And she's a fool for sitting here letting you talk to her like that. Somebody need to step in.
Nene can't stand it that this is my tour. She doesn't like anything if it's not all about her. Clearly, she's jealous of my
Someone should say something because it was a little not looking good in the light, you know?
Oh my God, just to go back to Miss Millie, literally the last episode I watched, she went to like a hair school. And then like as she was walking out, a room full of black women, she pointed at one. She's like, I like her. I'm going to ask her to be my maid. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
These are words that came out of her mouth on TV. So one thing that you were describing in how these are women who had to like watch their words and be very hyper conscious of their appearance, how they represent themselves. But then the other thing I was thinking was like, well, that's black women always as well, but not just on this show. Oh, that was probably the first instance in Kim's life where she was in that position because she was in front of a TV where she had to think about what she was doing. But she's like a bad person, and so she failed. And like, but it was watching her fail at it is like really frustrating.
When her back is up against the wall, she immediately does the cornered animal thing, right? She lashes out. And then once Croy came into the picture, he enabled it. He never tried to diffuse it. He always enabled it. So I thought, oh, they're birds of a feather for sure. Yeah. There was that season, maybe it was 5, where they were trying to plan a trip and she was pregnant. And it may have been her second pregnancy at that time. I don't remember. But
She's
they were
always
like,
pregnant. Good for her.
It got a little hard to track after a while. And they were like, you told us you had these dates cleared. We planned this specific trip around your clear dates. Candy turned down a paid gig because of this, and now you're backing out. And rather than saying, you know what, y'all, I'm afraid to travel. I'm she's just like, that's it. That doesn't, I'm out. And then Croy wants to hit the camera, and it's like, this was her. Like, this was always her. And I'm glad the producers were finally letting that be seen, and no one's coddling her.
She had to specifically disrupt the show for the producers to actually make a move, which is, I mean, you don't watch Real Housewives of New York, but you might have heard about the later seasons where they brought in Ebony, who's the first black woman to ever be on a Real Housewives of New York cast.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that, yeah.
Yeah, she was a one and done, and bad fan reaction, and they kind of put her in the position because it was like post George Floyd, and so people were talking about like, you should treat black people like people. And then they're like, oh yeah, black people exist. And so they brought Ebony on, and then she like had the weight of teaching Ramona Singer,
oh god,
virulent Trumpian racists. And obviously that turned to a disaster, and then that show got canceled because of it and had to be rebooted. The reason that happened is because Ramona used the N-word to refer to people in production. Ebony heard about it, that she did something similar in front of Ebony, and she had to take it to HR to actually just like have an impact. And then like a few years later, just last season, Ramona was back on Bravo while Ebony hasn't been on in ages. Well, I mean, we don't have to talk about the double standard, really. We all know the double standard, but like seeing it enacted so flagrantly.
That's what makes some shows hard to watch. Like, I think that's why I can't watch OC, because I know if a black cast were to express their political or personal opinions that sounded like that show would be gone.
Yeah, and also they're hostile environments for black people.
They are. Oh, incredibly hostile. I thought there was another show that just got canceled too because of a similar issue. Dallas. I think Dallas had a show. I never watched it. Two, or maybe one, or at least one, if not two or more of the housewives were just incredibly racist. And they had an Asian doctor as part of the cast, I believe. And she was like, yeah, no, it's not worth it. And even though that's reality, I don't want that on my TV. I would rather you go say it in your clan meetings or your PTA meetings, whatever the difference is. Keep it over there.
There are representations that are like really unhealthy for people to watch. They're unhealthy for me to watch. That's very fair. So just rounding out this point on representation. So what I'm getting from what you're saying is that there's the weight of representation on these women is unfair,
especially for the women of color. Yeah,
they've been forced in that position because they're public figures. One thing in all the reading that I really like rubbed up against is it continue to talk about them in relation to stereotypes, how closely they align to stereotypes, or how much they diverge. And these women are also existing as they exist,
Yeah.
Kind of feels aggressive to compare them to a stereotype. We continue to this day talk about like what is appropriate and what is not appropriate on TV, and then also hold people to different standards, because like people are fighting on New Jersey.
Oh, how did I forget that? Yes, I did used to watch that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had literal like people who went to federal prison in New Jersey. They're still about kicking it about.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a different standard for specifically the black women. What do you think attracts them to be on the show?
People love to be seen. People want to be seen, whether they deserve to be seen or need to be seen. Beside the point, they want to be seen. And Atlanta is very much I want to be seen city. I've lived there twice. It is always about the parties, the people, the access, and everything. And I think that's fine. For whatever your reasons for wanting to be seen, those are your reasons alone. And I can't take any issue with that. I have no qualms with that. It's what happens after and how you deal with it after. And there was a quote that you sent over about mediated self-performance and that line between performing and viewing, like being on a public stage.
Yeah.
Once you figure out, okay, these people want to be seen, I divide these people into two categories. And it sort of got me thinking when you said that. What were they doing before the show? And what are they doing after the show? I look at people like Candy Garcelle, who are already performers and used to being on stage in a public stage. They have a better idea on how to comport themselves in front of a camera or off camera in the real world. And they don't really care so much about being seen. This is their existence. Yeah. They get seen as part of their job. And so they're used to what happens when they're off the clock. I think the people who aren't performers or in the industry start to believe that, oh, this is my full-time job to perform.
Yeah.
And I think the act goes on a bit too long and we lose, like, I don't think season 1 Nene is the same as season 8 Nene is definitely not the same as season 10 or whenever she left. And actually her evolution's interesting because from season 1 to like season 5, whatever the season was where she was on Celebrity Apprentice, it's not the same woman.
No, and it's not the same woman now either, really interesting.
No, very much not. And granted, she's been through a lot, loss, divorce, remarry, loss, one son going to prison or jail for a while, one son having a very serious physical health crisis. She has changed. And so I don't want to use the word humbled, but I think life caught up to her in a way that maybe she wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And she's a bit more grounded now, at least from what I saw in her interview that she did with Carlos King. She seems very grounded. And I watched both parts, like just completely attentive because it was really nice to see. To see her that way. I just think it depends on, for me, I look at it as what were these people doing before the show, their evolution during the show, and if they're still on, okay, where are they now? But if they're not on, what what's happened to them?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you just keep giving yourself and yourself and yourself for the sake of what? Like, what do you get out of it after a certain point? I don't understand. Everyone reaches this point where what more do you have to give? Even Candy, Candy had a name before she joined the show. Many people may not have known that, but she had a name. It was established.
She must have been known in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. As, a Grammy award-winning songwriter and singer, she had a presence.
I mean, I was seas away and I knew Escape. So, I get it.
Yeah. She comes in, she's got the one boyfriend who was unfortunately killed.
AJ.
So she's got loss, dating, finding love again, getting married, a mother that's not going to win Mother of the Year, God bless her. And it's like, okay, after 13 seasons, honey, what else you got?
I like how carefully you were tapped ass around Joyce. You're like, I'm not going to anger that lady. I wish her well. And
I'm not scared of Mama Joyce.
I'm fucking scared of that woman.
I have family like that. You can disarm somebody with just a couple of phrases, and it's like they're reverse Winter Soldier words. Shut that shit down. Like
she's the kind of person who will get me talking, and we're gonna have an argument. Like that's the danger there. Ooh, that woman vexes me.
I'm a very type A Leo. I'll never start a fight, but I'll definitely finish one, right? But there are some people you just realize are just looking for the attention, and that's one.
Let's do an ultimate girls trip with the mothers. Just the mothers. I don't want the daughters. Just them. Give me Mama Joyce. Give me LD Millionaire, but Monica's mom. Give me Todd's mom. She's around.
No, she's not, though. Oh, you'd need a medium.
Give me a Ouija board. And
I can see it now. You still a bitch. And then Aunt Bertha would be, it's a scheme that Todd set up to cover the bullshit.
Oh my god, we need Portia's mama there. I low-key stand Portia's mom because I just love watching what she's gonna evolve into next.
You can tell. You can tell.
Yeah,
yes.
She shows up like she's on the first episode of Drag Race. Every single episode she's on. I adore that woman.
It was the season where Portia, I think, had her daughter and was super depressed about the breakup, and her mom still came in. Get out of bed, honey. I will watch the child.
On Portia, though. So I watched a few episodes, specifically during the COVID episodes, Real Housewives of Atlanta, and watching all the shows, actually. All the shows had to really deal with life in a specific way. Watching the crash of reality, like George Floyd and the protests, and watching the Real Housewives reaction. There's just a wealth of feelings that I have about that, just the complexity of it, and just watching also a conglomerate attempt to give a platform to these people to discuss these topics. I hope it's not awful for me to say, but it felt like a really interesting commercial exercise.
No, I get it. I get what you mean.
What were your perspectives on that then?
The network, so we have to say something, because if we say nothing, it looks really bad. I thought it was interesting, though, that of all of the housewives across all the franchises, Portia seemed to be activated the most.
Yeah.
Yes, she does come from activist royalty, especially within Atlanta. Hosea Williams was a very, very, very big name. But everyone was committed to doing the minimum to show their support and their minimum to speak on things. And Portia was like, I'm out here getting arrested. Let's do this. And I thought that was actually a wonderful evolution for her.
Yeah. She has the most amazing trajectory of any housewives. And just seeing her commitment to just actually doing something. My heart really breaks to see Real Housewives of Atlanta at the state, though. Because it's
terrible.
Yeah. It is. And the fact that people are seriously talking about just reboot it is really heartbreaking to me, because it was the one that you could always count on to always be entertaining. And all those women are all really, really funny. The weakest player on Atlanta, even, you know what? Am I going to say this? No, the weakest player is Sanya in the latest season.
I was going to say that. Yes.
But you know what? Actually, that brings us to a point. If we're talking the latest season, I just want to take a moment to serenade Drew Sidora, who I believe is the great brown hope of Atlanta. Look, and people will fight me on this.
Okay, let's hear it.
We need a comic relief. We need someone who will walk towards that rake and hit themselves in the face. That's what Drew offers. The woman stood in the middle of a stage of a reunion, looked at her soon-to-be ex-husband, and she sang him a song of anger, of bittersweetness. She sat there like she was Beyonce singing Resentment. She put her whole heart in it, and she pointed at him, and she said those words. And she might be a lesbian or bisexual. Gotta support my queen. The thing is about Drew is that she delivers. She's so bad at the show. She's so not good at it that I think she's vital. Did I convince you? I feel like I haven't convinced you. You just
No.
got silent.
Oh, come on, it was funny.
It's not funny.
It was funny.
It's not funny.
It's funny.
It's not funny.
Damn, I thought I was onto something there. I had hope for a second there. I was
Red
like,
flag.
okay.
Red flag. Red flag.
Not even white. It was
No, it's immediately no. Immediately no. Okay, I love the imagery of her walking into a rake is hilarious to me, especially because it was Ralph pushing her into the rake every time.
breadcrumb. Just like, just walk towards this way. He is the most toxic man I have ever seen on my television.
Imagine doing a trust walk with him, like 2 feet to the left, honey, and there's a big sinkhole. That's Ralph. The fact that man was so checked out, and you know what's funny is that to me, that's when the show was actually good. Is when the husbands were involved. When Peter used to do talking heads. When Greg used to kind of jump in. Peter or Patricia. You know, when the husbands were involved, it was great. But no, baby, no. Drew needs to go back to therapy without Ralph.
No therapy. Just TV. The screen will save you. Come on, Drew. Be a star.
No, Drew gave me secondhand embarrassment to where I would just fast forward through most of her scenes. And let me tell you something, that reunion performance, oh no, we skipped it. No, I scrubbed
You
right
cannot, Lauren. You have to go back.
No,
you
never.
must go back.
No.
This is the mashup I need. I need you to do the mashup of specifically that performance. Come on.
I'm gonna hear you out, but
and I love Candy, and I love Candy's music, but Tardy for the Party is not a good song. So just do that with that beat. I don't know if it matches, but I think we deserve a dance remix. Take your time.
I thought we was cool.
Just let it cook. Just let it cook.
I'm gonna burn it. I don't want it.
Did you say that? How dare you?
Oh my god.
So that is my thing though, is that everybody has a housewives genre that they love. I think I really love a messy housewife. I love someone who is so bad at the show. Like you watch Jersey. I love Danielle Staub.
Bi, capital letters, love and light, bitch. Bi is bi a threat? Bi. Like, in other words, am I going to hell and I'm going there now?
Oh my god. Mrs. Mob Wife. We thought she was a mob wife. It was like great value mob wife.
You don't fuck with the family. You don't mess with the family.
Don't make me call Tony.
Tony Provenzano?
Oh god, I remember Danielle. Danielle was, she was something.
She was chaos. I love chaos. Like I love Aviva on Real Housewives of New York. I love just those messy girls. That's why I love Kenya Moore. And these are the worst aspects to me, but like the housewives I identify with is her. When I watch her, I do. I think that Kenya, like, because I relate to all of her evil instincts. She's an evil, she's like Cruella DeVille. And
facts, yeah.
But she does the things that like I think of doing, but like I withhold because I'm on sertraline. I take my medications every day.
Good job.
I do my meditation. I care for myself. And if I didn't do that, I would be Kenya Moore. Just like slightly more light skin, which makes me slightly more evil, would destroy nations. This lip bite. I would just let you know.
Oh my god.
But Candy Moore is the one that I really find myself identifying with. Out of all the housewives, like she makes the whole facade really obvious. She is always like putting on,
She gives good show. She gives really good show. Yeah.
She really, really does. And she's really clever. She's really quick. She's also really perceptive.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like her biggest tool. And I also think she's really empathetic. But like but I can see her shutting it down, which is what I relate to really. And so for me, like in terms of like psychological studies, out of all the women in all the shows that I watched, Kenya Moore is the one that I think I thought the most about.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder, I don't know. Which housewife just shows up and drinks her water and then goes home and minds her business? Because that's me. Maybe a mix of Kim Field, but my thought process is often Nene. And I'm not going to lie. I stop myself from saying unhinged shit all the time. I have a filter. Nene doesn't have a filter. Because one of my favorite things that she has ever said, and it's so wrong, where she was like, I'll pluck your eyeballs out. Boop, boop. And I just say that randomly. I have to constantly bring that down, this constant like internal thing. And then that's when I just go drink my water and mind my business because I don't want to get into a fight. Because again, I won't start one. I will never, ever start one. But I will always finish one. And if I have to mediate, fine.
You see,
A
I'm like
sugge-
Kenya. I'll suggest a fight. I won't start it, but I'll be like, "Do you want to fight?" I'll say something. I'll be like, "Oh, you look tired today."
The last time I attempted to go on a girls' trip, this was last year. I'm
Mm.
going to keep this very vague because I love them all. I swear to God, I love them all. But it was a disaster. Compounded with the fact I got COVID on the second day. I couldn't even get a Real Housewives type fight in this girls' trip. And I was kind of hoping for one, but I got too sick to even get one. Like, I was ready
Yeah.
for somebody to fall apart. And here I am hacking up a lung and can't breathe right, going, you bitches are all late. Like, I can't even yell right. So
I do fear getting into a fight now because now I have a housewife's mouth, you know? So I'll be doing it like there's cameras in front of me and I might get stabbed because this is real life. There's no bodyguard around the corner. Like,
it
it'll be bad
teaches
for
you
me.
to stay ready. I feel
Yeah.
like there's honestly some lesson here is that you have to learn to stick up for yourself, you know, in some capacity. And you have to discover your confrontation style because not
Yeah.
everybody is a Nene, not everybody is a Kenya, not everybody can now check that like Phaedra. You have to develop your own communication style when it comes to confrontation
Yeah.
and just keep it in the chamber. And I feel like that's a lesson that people don't realize they can actually get from this. It's how to deal with difficult coworkers.
Yes.
This
Oh
is
my
the best
goodness.
example
Yes.
of how to deal with difficult coworkers. Like,
Yeah.
it's right there.
I was listening to, I don't know what I was listening. I listened to a podcast that was talking about Salt Lake City, and
Mhm.
their point was none of these women like each other, and the show is
No.
meant to be about friends. And I was like, I don't think this show is meant to be about friends. Like, that's not what it is, right? It's about
That's
it's
how it was
basically
pitched.
Sure, but it's basically actually just the view in different locations, right?
Yes.
Like, that's what it is.
Can I tell you that for the longest time, I could not tell Meredith and Lisa apart. I thought they were like the same woman moving together really fast. Like, I thought it was the same person. And I was like, wait, why is she mad?
You just like it was one person moving around, changing their clothes really quickly.
Yes.
This editing on this Salt Lake City is bad. I don't know what's going
It
on
took
here.
me, no lie, like 6 episodes to be able to tell them apart because I was like, but she was just talking about her. Ain't that the same woman?
I always love when it takes a while for like the housewife style to congeal until they become like an identifiable gif, I guess. Like Mimi
Yeah.
have her short hair until the reunion. And I was like, oh my god, the short hair is here. It's Needy.
Yes.
And it took a while for Lisa to just get like long straight hair and then Meredith to like actually do something different. So I get that, but you have to like lock in on the voices, I realize, with all these housewives. That's how I tell anyone apart. I could go there with the husband if I want. You don't want me to go there.
Go there with
You want me to go there?
Oh,
Excuse me, sir. She's being out of order.
Hold
Can you
on.
please get
hold on, because that was one of the best moments in Beverly Hills.
No, Salt Lake City.
No. But no, you said that let's talk about the husband, and that
Let's
was the
talk about the
Beverly Hills. Let's talk about the husband. You don't want me to talk about the husband. How dare you?
Oh my god.
You
Let's
geeks.
take a moment. Let's just take a moment to celebrate the downfall of Lisa Rinna, but she did give us that. And did you ever watch that video where they're like whispering to each other? I think T. Kyle.
Yes!
Oh my god. Beast.
You want us to talk about the husband. You don't want me to talk about the husband. And in any iteration, I've seen this with Barbie dolls. I've seen this the way Kyle Richards was a runner and a track star at the end.
You know what? I think that scene tells you everything you need to know about Kyle Richards. She will run when times get rough. I've seen through Kyle since day one.
Listen.
I knew Camille wasn't lying. Camille was telling the truth.
Kim was
You're such a fucking liar.
And this is what I'm talking about right here.
Yes. And oh my god, it took Kathy to break the facade down.
Man, they called Kathy and like Kathy was Debo. Like, don't make me call Kathy. Them including her in the last season was so interesting because I feel like that was the one time. I think maybe that's why they gave Kyle Anna Marie.
Yeah.
Because she needed a support cast member because Kathy ran roughshod on her the entire
Anna Marie?
time.
Anna Marie, my goodness. She is.
I'm embarrassed for her. See, that's what happens when you cast a fan. That's what happens when you cast a fan. And okay, so this was my thing between Nneka, Monica, and Anna Marie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monica was successfully chaotic.
Yeah.
And I think she had help from producers, although they deny it. I think she had help from producers because
I agree with you.
they do their research on people and they know better, period.
Like, Jen Shaw sent a cease and desist to her before she ever got cast. Like, people knew.
Right. All the right people knew. And Andy's like, what? No.
She made such a mistake calling it out. She shouldn't have said it out. That's why she's not coming back.
I saw. She should have held on to that for at least another half a season and then unloaded the chamber fully. But she played too many cards up front.
Yeah. And that reunion, she just wasn't strategic. I was like, I
No,
wish I just could
no.
coached you. I was like, yeah, because you could tell she really wanted to be on the show, but she let those other girls just like really push her out, and
Not
it would have been
to
so
give you
easy.
more to do, but I
Mhm.
feel like you could add that to your resume.
What?
A coach, a
You know what?
reunion
I'd do it.
coach.
I'd do
I
it.
would
Consider
too.
this. You know what? Consider this. This is a 2-for-1 service. Our rates are reasonable.
Yes, they are. Like seriously, like if you're gonna watch tape and then go
Yeah.
form your play accordingly, let me show you how to watch tape and make it work for you, right?
Yes. And look, we both got a
So
mouth on us, so you'll be funny. You'll become a
listen,
meme. I promise you.
it includes practicing,
Yes.
workshopping, when to use the finger or not to use the finger.
Hmm.
But see, yeah, Monica was successfully chaotic. Nneka thinks she's doing what Monica is doing, but
Hmm.
it comes across as trying too hard. See also Anna Marie.
What happened to hello? How are you? My name is. What happened to that?
I don't know. With Nneka, like the minute she came on and like she was Team Giselle and Robin, I was just, they're gonna turn on you so quickly. You are a dark-skinned
Yeah.
woman. This is
Yeah,
not gonna go
they don't
like
like you. This is not one of us, Google
there's
gobble
a
one of us.
pattern.
No. Yeah.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
like, and it's so blatant of that reunion. They were talking about colorism and just like that conversation.
And it's not received the same way.
Okay, but I feel like I've been called mean girl and aggressive multiple times sitting here. So
Sitting here today now, you
but
think
are
that
we the ones saying, "Oh my God, Candace, you're so emotional"?
some of you are, and some of it comes from the audience who watches our show.
I was confused with you're the emotional one of the group. What does that have to do with the color of your skin? Like, how are you connecting the two? Villainized
and
based off of
ridiculed.
being emotional? No, I'm saying, what does you being emotional have to do with skin
Am I not
color?
making sense? I understand what you're trying to say.
I just
I wanted to pluck my own eyes out.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
God.
And then you brought out Nicki Minaj.
It's absurd. And I think my other issue with Nneka is that, and I don't know if this is producer driven, I'm inclined to believe that it may be, but you coincidentally have 2 Nigerian American women on your show. And for her beef to be so culturally specific
Right.
and unknown to outside people,
Mhm.
and the edit given to it makes it seem like it's almost satanic in nature, is nasty work on the producer's
It
part
was so
too.
nasty. It was so nasty. You're
And
completely
I
right.
don't
You're
like
completely
that
right.
either.
No, I
And
have
so I
to
think we need
stop.
to hold the feet to the fire to these production companies too.
It was like I said, there are some things that are toxic to watch and like
Mhm.
painful to watch. That was like,
Mhm.
and I have a big tolerance for things, but that I was like, I just can't do it. I think you said it really well as well. Like, 'cause was also just so disappointing. It
Mhm.
was that the fact that like these cast members, the majority of them were playing along. I mean, this show has committed the cardinal sin of Housewives, in my opinion, which is that if I'm not excited to see all these women together in one room, then what
Mhm.
is the
What
point
are we
of this?
doing
Like,
here? I agree 1,000%. And I think the unholy duo that is Robin and Giselle just needs to be a solo act.
yeah, they need to be broken up.
Robin's denial is also a cast member, and it's
Mhm.
glaring and it's disgusting at this point. Like
Yeah.
Robin has no am I going to edit myself? No. Robin
Say
has
it.
no storyline and no marriage.
You're right though. She has a situationship with us and Juan.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened to her hat business. And then I saw that she was opening a beauty spa. Like, okay, you're at that point now where you're trying to figure out your life financially because you know a big shift is coming. And
Yes.
I don't want to watch the Titanic head for the iceberg because I already know
Yeah.
the outcome of this story. I don't need to
Yeah.
see it. And you can go work that out on your own time. And we don't need to see it either because we've already known the outcome is your inevitable separation and dissolution
Yeah.
of marriage. Good luck with that.
Because for me, they're the villains of the show, but there's also like
Mhm.
no joy in specifically watching them downfall because
No.
the things that they are doing to have attained that villain status is like they're
Mhm.
using weird racial stereotypes. They are attacking each other in like also the most predictable ways. Like
Yeah.
a lot about the show just feels lazy these days.
It
And
is.
like what you were saying, we need to hold these production companies accountable and hold their feet to the fire is very, very true. That's starting to happen a little bit. What
Mhm.
is your reaction to like there's that whole reality reckoning thing happening that is being spearheaded by one of the housewives from Real Housewives of New York? network, Bethany.
Oh, that was Bethany was saying like, oh yeah, like how just the working conditions and things are just not optimal, and they're detrimental to people's mental and sometimes physical health. I find myself, it's odd to agree with her because I have heard some other things that she said and done that are not as poignant or cogent, but I agree with her on that. And I think she and Nene got together and spoke on this together. I think she was on Bethany's podcast.
Yes, yeah.
And they said, there's just some shit that's not cool that happens in our workplace, and that needs to be addressed. I agree with her.
And Nene has been talking about this for ages, but like that Bethany has a really big platform, and that Nene used it and had the chance to really speak about her grievances, which the thing about Nene's grievances is that she is correct.
Yes, and should say so.
Yeah, she should have gotten a spin-off. She was the star of the highest rated Housewives show, Point Blank. And you gave the spin-off show to Kim.
Yep.
And like that's really weird. We know why that happened. But like it's good that we're now finally talking about it. It's really disappointing though that, I said earlier that it feels like Nene seems to be opening up towards returning on the show, which would be great. I would love if she came back on the show, but like I kind of want Nene to have more because she does deserve more, when she should have had more when the moment was here, and now that the moment is past. What does reparations for Nene from Bravo look like,
Oh, I bet I know.
Oh, go on.
Similar to what happened in Married to Medicine and Mariah Huck. Give her executive producer credit.
That's the thing, though. That is what they're afraid to do. She should get an executive producer credit, though.
Yeah.
I wonder, it seems like they don't want to give the women that power.
They already did, though. The precedent has been set. They did it with Mariah, and Mariah's not even on the show anymore.
But that's not a Housewives show.
But it's the same. It's the
same thing.
Show,
it should
different
be.
font. Same show, different font.
I agree with you, but I feel like that would be their argument, is that that's not a Housewives show.
Then you know what? They shouldn't cast a housewife because Phaedra's on it now. That's what happened. See, now you've opened the gate.
You're right. That should be a thing. And I always find it is really suspect the way that they don't want to give women that power, because it feels like a bunch of men just being like, no, ultimately the control of the show is with us.
Yes.
So the way that it's been discussed from from some of the things that I've read is that a lot of the women almost function as producers, storyline producers, but they just don't get paid for that, obviously. They just get paid as reality stars. So one of the lines that I've heard is a lot of the fights that you see on Housewives are usually about the show itself, and not just how they were portrayed on the show, but like their relationship to the show. And when it gets exasperated, that's like what happens. And I feel like that's obviously the biggest fight that Bravo hasn't figured out how to resolve. But I do get, it's another conglomerate that doesn't want to share power. So like, I don't know what else to do but like point and say, what is wrong with you? Just like, this is not this is not how you could build something sustainable, No. The only reason Candy's is still around is because you gave her so much. Anyway, so that's Atlanta and Potomac, and God help them, God help us all. But I do think that you and I together combined just bring us in as consulting producers for this reunion, from this reunion on, and right, I think we could whip this show into shape.
Honestly, and and I'm thinking about like what Nene said. She put in the work. The whole point of this show was for these women to come on and give a glimpse into their quote unquote life, right?
Yeah.
And when people don't do that and they're not being genuine, I just think it cheapens the nature of the show. And I think that's my biggest issue now with like Robin, is that, and I think even Candace called her out on this. She's like, our job is to show our lives, and you're not doing that.
Yeah. And also like we had said earlier that there's like this thing about the fakeness and inauthenticity that weaves into it. But like the thing about this show is that eventually the truth comes out. Like you can't really hide that long, which is what's so fascinating about watching it, right? And so it becomes really weird when like the truth has come out and like you're still a wall against it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's like, it offers up a really fascinating examination of human pride,
Oh, for sure. Like if we could combine this with America's Next Top Model and just, I have 5 pictures in my hand. These are the people who are going to continue to be on the Real Housewives of Potomac. Yeah. I would love that. Let's do that. I feel like these are salvageable in a way. They served a purpose. They serve a purpose still. And yes, the format can get stagnant, but I think it's salvageable, I think.
I just want to make a toast to America.
And my fear is like the fact that they are a cast of Black women or majority Black women in some of these cases. Is that it is seen as more like it's not given the deference that it deserves because it's just a cast of Black women. It'll just be like set aside, and they'll be like really willing to reboot it or put it on pause or whatever for a while, and that feels like a tragedy if it happens because we talked about like the idea of like the representational aspects of it and whether it's good representation or bad representation, and I think I like went the direction of saying about how like that's not obviously the best conversation, not a conversation I love to have about representation because there's no such thing as good or bad representation. It's just people existing, and instead of just like you said, offers up fascinating insights into the sociological sort of just society, the caste system that we're developing with each other within communities that are insular but are affluent and extravagant, and also the pressures that we as members in society would face if we suddenly became public figures. The pressures of the public space, I think, is something I don't know if I quoted it in the sheet I sent you, but something I read had talked about the way the role of these women is to be themselves. That is their job. Their job is to be themselves. And what I think is really valuable about it is that it really shows us the complexity of just existing. That is the great gift of these shows, I think. And it's so easy to underestimate them or just like put them to the side as like guilty pleasure, but they offer up so much. Like we say, we just had so far we've been having about an almost 2-hour conversation about just like a bunch of women who 20 years ago were unknown and probably didn't have any access to the mainstream, but lead rich, full lives that are worthy of thought and analysis. And also, I think treating with empathy. That's the thing that I always like in discussions of people about Housewives that always like stumps me, is that not a lot of people will be really willing to critique, but not enough people are willing to critique with empathy. So far, like we have, I hopefully managed that, and the fact that like we are really acknowledging what it would be like to be in the position of these women and the difficulty of it.
I think that's why I always go back to, if I had to say there was a favorite housewife of mine, honestly, it is Nene Leakes.
Yeah.
Nene's evolution from start to now has honestly been amazing to watch, and just watching her go from getting upset that Sheree intentionally left her off her guest list that first episode.
Oh, Sheree. We didn't even talk about Sheree yet.
We don't need to, do we?
We'll get to it. You have any thoughts? Nothing?
Look, if I had 15 years to come up with the line of Fashion Nova jogger clothes, I would keep my mouth shut, but that's
she
a
said
different
it's
story.
Coming. September, spring, summer. It's coming.
It's almost 2025. I love just watching Nene and just watching the evolution, and I think she is a woman who has lived life, and it's tough to live life even without cameras in front of your face. And the fact that she faced very difficult circumstances, even the seasons where she was acting in like Glee and The New Normal, that was interesting to watch because she's in 2 sets of cameras. She's got 3 lives really. Nene off camera totally, Nene in front of camera for Housewives, and Nene in front of camera for Glee. I can't imagine that would have been easy.
Yeah, and like watching her having to develop those 3 different identities of how to exist in the public.
Yes.
Because they're all very different. Nene, the housewife, is very different than obviously Nene in private, and Nene, the actress on Glee, was very different, and they all complicated each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like it's these nuances. We're getting a chance to actually view them. Just to go to, I think this is the last quote on the page that I sent you, which is related, by Nicole B. Cox. Achieving membership in the capitalist class is not good enough, as the membership is constantly tested and must constantly be proven to stay in good standing. So I go to that quote and just to expand it a little bit, just beyond capitalism, though obviously it relates, that the membership, just to existing as a human being in society, is also consistently tested. The obligations of how to act correctly, how to be correctly, that obviously, as we've been talking about, gets doubly so, or if not triply so, to when you're a person experiencing multiple marginalizations or having been forced to experience multiple marginalizations.
The white people are staring.
That's one way, like speaking of Nene, that we're seeing the way in which like she's had to often mediate her ways of being in these different contexts, and that's really valuable. It's valuable and give us examples of how people do that. Even Sheree, we were just joking about her earlier about her fashion show, but like that was from the first season, and it's still haunting her because she just did a lie on TV of something that she just wanted to talk about, and to this day she feels the commitment to do it because she said it on the public space, and so now there's an expectation for her to do it. And also it's a good opportunity. And so if she wants to like advance this capitalist system, that she's got to take it. And it's just like so complex.
You know what? If she sat down in a talking head and said, y'all know what? I had no intentions of doing that shit. I can't do it.
I'd laugh. I'd laugh.
Thank you, girl. We've all been there. Like, we've all been there. We've all written a check our ass couldn't cash, and we get it.
That's how I got each and every one of my jobs. I get it.
Listen, I have talked my way into so much. And then it's like you have the audacity to expect me to do the things I said? Charlotte Roos has died and come back in the time that it took her to put out her clothes. Charlotte Roos has been resurrected, and She by Sheree is still a toddler.
God, poor Charlotte.
What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Do you remember when Kanye forced people to wear those ugly ass sneakers? Kanye just like stapled together 2 pieces of foam and said, "Here you go.
Get some tape and some foam bubble wrap and get some markers."
Honestly, you didn't even do that. You didn't even do that. Go to like the store where they sell like all those knockoffs and just buy a bunch of shit and just like
Rainbow.
Give it to a seamstress. So, like let a seamstress add a waist and sell it online for $100. Come on.
Oh my God. I'm looking at. There's a quote that you sent that kind of that made me smile, because I'm like, at the end of the day, it's all pretend. Makes clear that certain individuals should not be mistaken as members of the capitalist class. There are true members and those who pretend. And honestly, this is all pretend, right? Because we all know that real money, like real legacy money, isn't going to do this, because I don't like people knowing my business, period.
To take that just like one step further, it is all pretend. Like all of it. Like everything. All of it is pretend. Beyonce's pretend. Beyonce isn't real. She doesn't do this in her day-to-day.
Yes.
Like Michelle Obama's pretend. They're all pretending. We're all pretending, and we all just really want to be curled up in a ball in our bed with a hot water bottle. I believe. I like to believe.
Yeah, I agree.
Capitalist class manages to maintain its power by building up this perception of its existence, but it doesn't actually exist. And it's this perception of its inevitability, but it's not inevitable. But we're watching people who believe that it is often. It's also what we are all immersed in.
My early teens were filled with the real world, like the first seasons. Again, carbon dating myself. The first seasons of the Real World, Road Rules, that was also still reality based, but way more raw, I think, and more realistic than what we have
documentary,
now.
More documentary style.
Docu-style. I think what we have here is everybody wants to be a celebrity, but nobody wants to be a celebrity, but you can be like a celebrity here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get that public recognition. You don't have to have a talent. You could just be you and be on camera, and that sometimes is enough. And I think the issue is, I think where we are now with the Housewives shows, maybe the Kardashians sort of set that tone, or maybe even before then, what was that show that she did? Paris Hilton, The Simple Life?
Yes, that's the one.
The Simple Life with Nicole Richie, I think sort of veered away from the real world, and it became more entertainment.
Like the artifice.
Yeah. And so I feel like
that is what is the lineage of where Housewives comes from, like this artificial.
Yeah, like you can see its origins and its like ancestry in those types of shows. And now we've got these shows with social media and everybody and their mama trying to be an influencer, because they see that the influencer to capitalism pipeline is one way, and this is the way. So everyone's trying to be a housewife, which is the detriment of these shows, is that everyone thinks they can do it. No, you can't.
It's the commodification of infamy, because we've always had these kinds of people who could be famous for nothing, but now we have found a way that they can make money off of it.
And everybody can be seen. More people can be seen than ever before. And not everybody should be seen, but people can be seen. And everyone thinks they're the star of their own reality show.
There are no longer boundaries in the public space, which is something that happened through social media. It used to be like you get this thing from one newspaper and you get this thing from another newspaper, but now it's all very, very different, and that has made the public space really accessible. I was talking about this with my friend Sunday on the episode with them about how the public space now just doesn't really, in many ways it doesn't exist, because it's a free-for-all. We're all there, and this idea of like the monoculture erasing, and that it's becoming more about like these niche kind of segmented populations, but then they're segmented, but there's no walls to them, so we all have access to them in a way, which in many ways is great, but in many ways could often be very toxic. I was telling Ash Lane in their episode, everybody deserves a voice, but not everybody should be listened to.
we're not meant to hear everybody's voice. Yeah, we're not
That's
meant
the
to hear
one.
everyone's voice. Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone is entitled to their voice, but it doesn't mean we need to hear it. And I think that's the problem, is that we don't have walls, and we don't have shame anymore either. Maybe we should bring one of those back. I don't know
Yeah.
which one, but yeah.
Like I was saying, like I used to have these. I don't know if I say prejudicial views about Housewives, but like about the franchise of the Housewives itself, right? Which were like based in probably my own blind spots and my own whatevers. And I think I started studying social media, start studying this erasure of public spaces, and then that somehow I think helped me address those blind spots, yes, but also I think opened me up towards this because it took the judgment away. We all have the ability to do this now. Someone can be an Instagrammer and become famous, and then have their own kind of version of the Housewives just through their live stream, right? And so that, I guess, if every teenager is trying to be a TikToker, then we can't really judge the people who became famous by becoming a TikToker. If our cousin is doing that, if our child is doing that, and it's a bit of a poison chalice, this Housewives thing. But I'll keep
it
drinking.
is. Yeah, I mean, honestly, and I've seen some like interesting spin-offs. Like there was one that I started watching, and I just fell off because I watch way too much, and it's kind of my job to watch stuff now. But there's this YouTube series called Chasing Atlanta, and it's all
I don't think I know
LGBT.
it.
It's all LGBTQ
Really?
cast. Like
Let me just
all.
write that note down real quick.
And it's
because I love me a gay reality show.
No, it's like entertainers and like influencers. You can tell that they said, we can do this for us. We don't need to wait for permission. We can make our own. And when I tell you, those first 2 seasons are rough as hell. They must have filmed it on their phones. Now it's like, it looks like a YouTube show, but it looks really good. And I thought my friends and I have been watching it for years.
Yeah.
And we've watched the evolution, and I was like, this is what it could be. This is what it should be.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait for the conglomerates to do it. You can actually, it's the best case of
you can make it yourself
for ourselves. Yeah.
For some reason, that's a phrase I really associate with you. I think at a certain point you once said, "We can do this ourselves, so I'm gonna just do it," and I think that really stuck with me. So I just love
that's
that you gave
been my motto since I came out of the womb 3 weeks early.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I got shit to do. I'm gonna do this.
I love
shit
that.
myself.
I gotta say, like, I love that recommendation that you gave us, like a FUBU reality show, and God bless you. Like, genuinely, I'm gonna watch the fuck out of this. Thank you so much. Chasing Dallas, right?
Chasing Dallas and Chasing Atlanta. They have to. Atlanta came first, and then Dallas. I would watch.
Should I start with Atlanta?
Please do.
Okay,
Since we
I'll do
talked about, because I think based on our conversation today centered a lot around Atlanta, and Atlanta is such a dominant force in Black culture.
It takes up the space.
Yeah, and it's definitely, you can tell that they were like, we can fill a void here with this, and whether 10 people see it, 10,000 people see it, we don't need 1 million viewers. We know who we're doing this show for.
That was what was missing with that like reality show that MTV or VH1 was doing with like Todd Hall, if you remember that a few years ago. Was it a year ago? Like the Real Gays of WeHo, is that what it was called?
I remember that, and I also remember my friends who were like, Todrick is involved? That's nice.
I don't, just to quote Mama Joyce, I don't want to talk about Todd.
Got it. Was it a scheme?
You know what? That might be an episode, just like a deep dive into the Todd Hall of it all. I have thoughts and opinions, and I'll bring you on.
Oh my God. I thought this was a classy party.
I would just be like, really? Really? Really?
You know what I'm gonna do? I do clips on this show, so I'm just gonna like record you saying a slur, and then I'm just gonna play it every once in a while. Can you say cigarette for me? Just real quick.
Never. You cannot trick me.
I'm gonna get you one day. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you, goddamn.
No, ma'am.
Last recommendation. As an Atlanta watcher, I think I told you this before, but have you seen the Queens of R&B?
No, but I added it to my watch list. I'm not
gonna tell you anything.
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you a single thing. Just like,
well, I remember how stressed she was filming it, because I remember watching the aftermath on Atlanta, and she was she was like canceling a lot of events and stuff because she was like, I'm tired, like I'm working, I've got this going on and this going on.
It is insane. Okay, so oh god, I just want to scamming gospel singer. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love a good 3-word summary. Okay, all right.
I'll tell you, like that carried me through the summer. God bless Bravo for giving me that show.
Okay, well, did you watch the special when she and Todd got married?
I didn't actually. You told me to because you said Mama Joyce was being crazy. I remember this, so I put it down as an annotation. I couldn't find it because I think it was a special that was in the show, and I have like Hey You, so like I need to find kind of.
You have Hey You, so you can watch
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Is it good?
Whoa, hold on. I gotta sip my coffee. Hold on real quick. Honey, Vancouver
Tell me.
was, as we spoke before about, these are real women with real money and real problems like addiction. This show only lasted 2 seasons, right?
Okay.
And when I tell you those women were TOXICAF. Oh my God. And let me give you a name to keep an eye on.
Okay, give me a name.
Jody Clayman, CLAMAN. And her daughter Mia.
Okay, Mia. Okay. You said that with like, there was like a bit of a warble in your voice. Like there was fear as you said those names to me.
They are both incredibly privileged women who move about the world in privilege and not a marble in their head posing as a brain cell together. Like the daughter linked up with some gangster in Vancouver and like got shot at. And this guy is the father of her son, and he actually got killed after the show was over. Like,
wait, was the gangster Jen Shaw?
Look, no, and hopefully they didn't have the same attorney, because we all see what happens when you hire their attorney.
Oh my god!
I can't believe I put that together so damn fast. Let me sidetrack for a second, because the moment I heard that, all it took was the first name, and I knew who her lawyer was. She said, I have to go to New York to meet with Priya. And I was like, that bitch going to jail. She going to jail.
Whoever is his team, like, they knew this was Priya's last case. And they chose to go ahead. I must imagine that no one else said yes, right? That must be it.
I don't think anyone was around to offer advice or counsel.
Except Megan Good.
Like we said, we would let Kim walk around with her crooked wig.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to let him walk around in his civil rights finest threads and just make bad legal decisions.
Someone said he was walking around looking like Judy Funny.
Get out. Get out. I'm out. I'm done.
So it was.
He was walking around with I Have a Dream clothes on and didn't have no good representation. You should have dreamed a good representation. That's what you should have done.
He was walking around looking like he was trying to get the lead role in Rustin off of Coleman Domingo. He's walking around looking like Miss.
They already filmed MLKX and he was like, I'm coming back for the sequel. No.
MLK returns from the grave, me and Coretta back in love.
MLK2, Dream Harder. Or something. Oh my God. What a mess. What a mess.
Flop era. Deserves it. Flop more.
You know what's
Flop
funny?
more.
I use that phrase in a script. I love it so much. It says so much. And it's so succinct, right? And it's a character who probably would never use it in real life, but he's like, I heard it from somebody and I thought it would be applicable here. Most pillars of our entertainment for like the last decade are in their flop era, Housewives included. And I think it's a time for rebuilding and going back to basics. Like,
hey, Aquarius season is coming. Time of revelations and renewal.
Leo season. Knock all this shit over and rebuild it. We good. We'll be good. We can wait, right? Let's bring back Nene. Let's bring back Portia. Let's get a lesbian housewife and let's get some real housewives on the show.
And it's Atlanta. How many famous rich women, black women are in Atlanta that would be amazing?
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. There are a lot. Who would be willing to put their lives on camera and who's earning their money legally?
Oh. We're just gonna let that one hang there.
how many real estate agent, credit repair, nail, lash, techs, veneer doing people can you have on the show?
I mean, look, I support a scam. Scam these white women watching your shows. You better do it.
But you can't be out here giving people bad BBLs and horse teeth and then saying, here's my housewife's credentials. No, you need to have a W-2. You got to have a W-2.
Dr. Dubras. Not too much on Dr. Dubras now. He's trying his best.
Well, and that's why I guess he redeemed himself with botched, right? Like, my bad. My bad, y'all.
Oh no. I'm gonna let you go soon. We didn't get the chance to talk about the cancer scare of ow! Sorry, my cat's bites.
That's old Alaska, huh?
She's like, what is this?
She said,
you've been talking about the colours for too long.
I hear you.
I hear you talking about the colours. Glory to the Empire! And you're not letting me speak, so I'm going to be heard.
I was trying to like bring her up to show you, but
oh, hello, pretty girl.
Yeah, you don't want to hear what she just said about you. Sorry.
I know. She said it with the hard R. I know, with the ER, not the A on the end. I know.
Actually, she said it with the hard ATTO. To me. She's attacking me. She's calling me a mulatto. It's fine. She does it all the time.
Someone used that word in conversation with me about 10 years ago.
Did they?
And it was the best nonverbal communication between my husband and I. Because he heard her say it to me and immediately came over and scooped me up under the arm in one smooth motion and was
We're not doing this today.
I forgot we have an early start tomorrow.
Yeah,
Bye.
amazing. Okay, that is a good man. That is a good person.
She said it with her whole chest. And
Jesus Christ.
It's that Canadianism, which is kind of like Minnesota nice a little bit, you know. And she says, "Oh my God, I didn't know you were married to him. You two would have such beautiful mulatto babies."
Oh.
It wasn't even 10 seconds. I swear to God. My husband was like, boom, done. In the car. In the car. Now, granted,
Demonic.
she was drunk. She was a little tipsy.
Not an excuse.
No. But
Demonic.
that was why I didn't immediately go like this. And for those who can't see, I'm pulling my fist back and winding that bitch up. I didn't immediately do the Arthur fist, and I didn't pull it back because I said she's drunk. How hard could I hit her and knock her sober? And before I even did the math on that, my husband's right there. And I was like, oh, I guess we'll never know.
Hey, I feel your pain. Look, I live in Brighton, England, which is that's the environment I'm in. You know,
I'm
a lot
sorry.
of people who these are the choices I made, but it's fine. I have a racist cat now. I made my peace with it. But yeah, so no, I get that. But yeah, it's rough out here. Just pray for me. Send me some nice DMs. Hit on me nicely. Whoever's listening, please. All right, Lauren, last question then.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite underrated Housewives moments? Point blank.
Favorite.
You want me to give you mine first?
Yes. So I know exactly where to aim. Okay.
My favorite is Candy's intro. I may be small.
I may be small.
But I'm mighty. That takes me out every time. I love it so much.
I love it too because I am a statuesque 5 nothing.
I'm a 5'8", 5'9". I'm boy short. So
that's a thing.
It is.
So what's the standard? I don't know.
Like
I'm an old auntie.
What? Like 6'3". Yeah. British people are. You've spent time in Britain.
I haven't. I was in Germany.
Okay.
That was as far Germany and France and the Netherlands. That was as far north as I got.
Well, like you've seen them. You've seen what they look like.
Yeah,
they're giants. They're giants. British people specifically, and Australians. I've noticed for some reason. I don't know what's in their water, but it's not antidepressants, and it should be. But it. Someone please do that? Someone just put antidepressants in the water. I beg you.
Oh, that's my God.
But no, yeah, they're all like really, really tall here. It's insane. I'm considered short, which is quite weird because I'm back home. Like I'm considered tall, so I like that is like a weird dissonance for me. I feel like I had tall privilege, and then I came here, and now I'm a short king, which I've.
Yeah, I did not know that was a thing. Okay.
All right, now you still got to give me your favorite moment.
Underrated. I don't know if it's underrated, but because it's too popular. But it's Beverly Hills, where they're at the dinner party from hell.
Okay.
And the psychic is just telling Kyle, like, all the stuff. He will never fulfill you. When your kids grow up and move out, you won't have anything in common. And they were all like, how dare she say that? Blah, blah, blah.
Alison Dubois from The Medium.
Alison Dubois is owed an apology.
Thank you very much. Did you see she put out a Instagram statement where she was just like, she did, with the news about Mauricio Okal came out, she put out an Instagram statement. It is so funny.
Wait, I'm gonna look this up. I did not know that, and to look at it now, and it was like, ooh.
She's right.
Ooh.
And I used to watch that show. That used to be the show that would be on TV when I was getting ready for school. Yeah, so I'd always watch that would be when I was getting ready for school. That would be on TV for some reason. So
and
like,
her
I've gotten
with that e-cigarette.
I stand that woman. She should have been offered a 10-year contract to join the show. We need a sidekick housewife.
I don't know how you have people in Atlanta and have somebody who doesn't claim to be a prophetess.
Yes! There should be like a super woo-woo person. There should be like some kind of like, you know what? I kind of want like a hot tap Housewives now, like a.
Oh no, they'd fight. Oh no, they'd fight. No. Queen this, queen that, queen this, Dr.
Look.
Sebi this, Dr. Sebi that. No,
Look, Dr.
oh,
Umar
God.
will host a reunion. They're all doctors. God bless them. But no, this okay. So this is what we're putting out in the world. She's giving the same face that
I'm
gave
giving the
when
same
I gave
face.
my ode to Drew Sidora. It's the same
Oh,
one.
oh my God. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so much fun.
This really was. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been. We knew we were going to have a good old time as soon as I said Housewives, and this did not disappoint. So
okay, you have to tell me that you will be willing and interested in doing this again because I had too much fun getting on a phone with you. And
absolutely. You tell me when. You tell me when.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find Lauren on Twitter at IamLaurenP2 and on Instagram at TheValidVictorian. You can find me at AlsoPerp on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. The video version by the lovely Victor Alexander will be up on the referential YouTube in a couple of weeks. If you're on Spotify though, you should check out the first 2 episodes which have been updated with the video version. They are very good. Victor did a great job and you should check them out. Head to my website www.alsopurple.com and check out the citation page show notes for episode 3 and you'll find all the quotes, references, research, and recommendations that went into the making of this episode. Also a handy page to explore if you want to find out what's coming up next on the podcast. And that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave a 5-star rating and review or tell a friend. It really helps with getting people to find us. And I'll be back soon with a tangent episode with poet Derek Austin talking all about Interview with the Vampire. It's a really good one. I cannot wait to share it. All right, Alaska, do you want to say goodbye? No? Okay. Goodbye.
Potomac.